This is really on the fly, this Saturday service, but I feel pretty compelled to put it together. Um, what do I want to say? Where do I want to start? A lot this week for me has been measuring the response or reaction between certain kind of polarity, so to say, so to speak, that focus on the love and focus on the light and focus on, this higher thing. And I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with that, because in fact, when we lose our vision of the big picture, when we lose our concept of love, when we've lost our concept of the light, which is the higher consciousness finding a way, a direction, a purpose, those sorts of things, that doesn't always go as good as we'd like to. On the other side of that has been, a very strong, like, focus on, like, the reality and, like, what it is that we need to do. And, like, this is so, like, a different kind of response. And those are also great responses. I mean, we need to be able to dodge out of the way of something in a very literal sense, but also we need to physically be able to manage our body in situations in which things are out of control. But that's really not the part that it's not an either or in those situations. It's really, regardless of the circumstance, the story that we're telling ourselves while all of this is happening around us is the key element that everyone overlooks. The way that we narrate what's happening inside our heads, that we're choosing to agree that this thing for which we perceive is precisely and exactly this reality that no one else is seeing, like, or whatever it is. I said last week, like, grim determination is really just, let's get over it. Like, that's not glamorous at all. And it's just not that glamorous. We need both parts of the story. For me, this is very real. You know, I debated on whether to share this in the Saturday service. And if you know me, most of the people that follow do know me. You kind of have an idea of what things have gone on. In the last year, like, it was already pretty bad. And then Trixie passed away. I kind of saw that coming. And then there was some rough patches there in Los Angeles. And then my father had a stroke and then he died. And then all of these things came out in the wash. Card just fell out of my deck. All these things came out in the wash. And it really just, I wasn't able to stay in Los Angeles. I had to come here. I could have stayed, but I had to come here. And that was helping a parent and helping another parent, the aftermath of that parent, my father dying. And it just continued to sort of tumble that direction. And I'm leaving out a lot. And if you really are on the inside track and you know me, you know what the a lot is and how I've had to navigate the last 3 to 5 years in a constant threat of what could potentially be a critical situation with someone. And so here I am on the other side of these things. and I made this statement to several people. One of them was, is this really happening to me? Is this real? Is this happening? Like, is this my response? Is my response real? Like, like what's normal here? Like, I was having a lot of responses to things. What is normal, right? What is normal is, I should say, what is healthy, right? So what's the healthy response is the thing that's going to help you, not in this kind of self-righteous, me first kind of way, but like what's going to help you really be present and make the best decisions for your own health and well-being in this moment. Sometimes that's that hard response. No, out, cut, by, gone. Sometimes that's the visionary response in which we're seeing, like, we got to focus on the bigger picture here. We can't let this mire us down, yada, yada, yada. But more often than not, it's all the stuff in between, because those are two extremes that we've kind of been pre-programmed as a society to be like good or evil, right or wrong, bad and good. And really, that's just kind of juvenile. That's a very small way to look at the world, and the world is much more complex and nuanced than that, and so are we. But we've been convinced that we're not. So I really thought I was out of the woods this week. I I signed some papers and I put down a deposit, and I was heading towards a new, even if it's just for like a year, but just like a new staging place to really start to root in and do some things. A really beautiful area of Oakland, like that Piedmont border. Um, and then another disaster, right? Another thing comes up. That thing was health related, right? Twice, in fact. In both instances, I really care for what's happening. But in this last one, there was a choice, there was an opportunity there, and I was really looking at the spectrum of things. I was feeling my emotional response. I was thinking about the logical thing to do, and I was just trying to find the wisest choice in between. What is that? Well, that requires space to think and feel and to write and to understand what's happening. We don't always have the luxury of that, but we do have the luxury, all of us who can think, feel, and breathe, to recognize that there's a story, there's a narration that we're giving in all of these instances. And every moment we're dictating what's happening. Um, we are. Unless we're living in such dire situations in which we have absolutely no control over our environment. But even then, I've read stories of people from the Holocaust who survived that during World War II and said there was always a choice. There was a choice on how I chose to receive and eat my bread. And, damn it, if someone can be in that situation, then they can make a choice. And what does that choice really do? Does it help them to get out of the situation? No. But does it give them the dignity of their humanity while they're in it? Yes. We don't know what this year is going to hold. There's lots of promises. There's lots of things on the board. Chaos. He likes to create chaos. So the thing is to really ask ourselves, what is the most dignified thing that we can do in this moment? What's the thing that we can really enact in this moment that's going to bring out our best personhood for whatever is needed? Sometimes anger is the right response, but not always. And we're a hot culture, which is constantly being trained to have our buttons pushed and to reference the worst parts of our nature, especially with algorithms and AIs, and to act in this really harmful way from the micro to the macro. It's like blow it up, burn it, shut the door, cut it, drop it, burn, like block it, it's all about removal and destruction rather than repair and solution. And it's really capitalistic. Like we live in a culture which everything is commodified, bought and sold, and we're listening to people who are on apps to make money about how we can buy and sell people and things, and how we deal with things is just walk away and run away from it. And none of those things are really helping any of us right now because we have further and further separation. So as I'm looking at my stuff this week and I'm asking myself these questions, I'm just trying to find the wisest response. That's really what I'm looking for myself. There are things that I want to abandon in this coming year. We're in it. And one of them is the glamorization of who we are. Like, we need to stop pretending that we have it all together because nobody does. Some people are functioning in a healthy way, and because of that, they're able to help other people. But this hustle of pretending that we can apply filters and, cut and edit videos, this is not edited. This is just raw off the cuff. That needs to be abandoned. And we need to look less at like influence and more at the impact of our choices about the stories we tell ourselves. So that's really what I want to highlight this week, is the stories that we tell are shaping what we see in the world. And at every moment, we have the opportunity to change that story, to understand what it is that we're saying, and not be so glued to some kind of loyalty to our feelings or our thoughts, both of which are transient and are just expressions of who we are. They are the result of who we are, of our past, of our hopes and our dreams and our fears and our experiences and the moment. And so they should not dictate. They should inform us. This is what I feel. This is what I think. Where am I at in the middle of that? In the Temple of Witchcraft, we have the three rays of love, will, and wisdom. And for me, those have really shaped themselves into being those currents of question, of inquiry. What do I feel? I feel that. Okay, I acknowledge that. I understand it. I'm not going to act on that necessarily. I think this is the most logical thing to do, despite what I'm feeling, and there's validity in that. There's good things in that. So I also hold that. But what's in the middle of that, right? What's the action in the middle of that? What do I do here, or inaction? What do I do here? So that's the part that I really want to highlight. We're about to see misinformation on a scale to which we have never seen before, because we've never had this technology. If I could convince you right now to just unfollow anything with AI in it, I would beg you to do that. It's up to you to do that. Don't get your news sources from Meta, Facebook especially, or Twitter. Go to an open algorithm app like Blue Sky. Get away from those things. Start to meet and talk and do that in-person kind of thing again. But the narrative. So let's just pull a couple of things here. I want to say, in the middle of it all, well, on the one side, on the one side of things, we have the lovers. And the lovers really is about that back and forth between things. It's really understanding the spirit of what's being generated. What is the energy? What is the consciousness? What is the soul? What is the information that's being generated here? The lovers is no longer the lovers when it's about either or here. Notice that they're entwined in this sort of golden, sunny, solar light helix of information that's rising up to that Tepharic level of consciousness, which is the high heart, right? Which is the high astral realm, some people will say, but is that higher level. And it is through that union that they experience that higher level together. So we need to remember that our union comes through that our experience of the beauty and the higher levels that we really want comes through our union. Not just with our own body, but with each other. So it's about connecting to other people. That's a very important message. It's about connecting to other people. The further we distance and disassociate, the worse that this is going to get. There's a spirit that's speaking to us, that's available to us all. If you but hear it, but see it, be open to it, it is there. And it is asking us to reach into probably the safest spaces at the moment. That's a great place to start. Reach into ourselves, but to connect and come together again, because there is love. And that love is like not the all you need is love kind of love, right? That's the all levels love. That could be physical, that could be familial, that could be friends, that could be agape, that could be any of the many types and variations of love that there is, but that it's through union or through togetherness or through sharing that this is possible. On the other side of things, we see karma, right? We see this balancing that's happening here. And right now, we have to ask ourselves from a very neutral sort of place why the swing has gone the other direction. Why has it gone to such devastation? Because it's going to be beyond our personal morals. It's going to be beyond our personal perspective. That there's a greater weight here, right, that's being placed on the scales. And it's not just about our personal heart being placed on the other, but the collective, right? Then does it weigh more than the feather, right? What are we doing to create the imbalance? And it really has a lot to do with that communication. Like these two things are on either side of those scales when we're talking about logic and feeling. When we say karma doesn't mean retribution. It's not like oh, well, this happened and so this happens and this is the result of it. Ha ha ha, karma, right? Everything is karma. Everything. Everything. Blinking your eyes is karma, right? These are causes which have effects. These are things which live on. And in greater degrees, when we're talking about karma in the form of personal actions, we're seeing the result of those actions, the results of thoughts. This is karma, right? But it's not a moral thing. It is just a measurement, right? It is a measurement. But to get the right measurement, we can't be all into the feeling or all into the logic because it's the scales are imbalanced. We just have to come to the place to say, this is what is, this is what we're being dealt with. I am in it. Therefore, regardless if I feel it is the result of my personal action, it is before me and I have an imperative. I have an invitation to be a part of doing this right, of being a force for, I'm going to use goodness, right, in this moment to sort of change things in whatever way that can be. In a lot of ways, I think what we're going to see is going to be in our hands entirely because the way it's going to be centered in governmentally, it's no longer about us anymore. At least not in the way of liberation, it's in the way of control. We want to stand in the way of control, right? So as I was shuffling the cards, I pulled the Six of Earth, and that is beauty. And this is the beauty way, right? This is a focus as I tune and listen into this to turn our eyes away from the virtual, from the electronic, to turn our eyes towards the physical world itself. And in this particular instance, it's to just sort of ask for it to be open to you so that you can see the poetry of life. I'm not saying beauty is necessarily pretty. It's not, those are different things. The message in this is that the beauty is there, and that could be beautiful beauty, and that could be dire beauty, and that can be terrible beauty, and that can be lovely beauty, and that could be, it could be lots of things. But it's to understand that there's something being written here, or there's something unfolding here, and really there's a kind of awe that comes out of that unfoldment. So see that, to really be open to what that is, because that's an important piece of building your story and understanding your part of the story, because it puts the character, you, me, all of us, into context with what's happening. Because it's not about creating these fantasy worlds, looking for the shift. We're 5D. All of these things are red flags to you that someone's trying to bamboozle you into looking away. Look over there, look over there, look over there, right? Not here, right? There's a beauty in this moment that's calling you in. You need to see that. You need to hear that. You need to bring it in for yourself. And the last card that I pulled on this one is that is Brother Wind. So that would be the Knight of Knight of Swords. And this is really, where do we take action? And the thing that's really strong in the response of this card is to be mindful of getting cavalier with our thoughts, of like just running forward with what we're thinking. But more so, if we tune into the message of togetherness, if we tune into the message of neutrality and karma, if we tune into the message of beauty that is somewhere before us, if we really tune into that, we then take on the role of what this card is really talking about, which is being the emissary, the herald for that information. And I'm not saying what that information is, because you have to find out what that is. That's your imperative, right? Like that's your quest, right? If you so choose to take it. You don't have to take it. You don't even have to listen to me at all. If you're still here, congratulations and thanks for watching. That's the way that I would look at it. Because when you see a knight, this can go really south. This got a lot of Aquarian energy to it, right? And there's some strong earth energy to this. This can be my way, the highway kind of thing. This can be, this could be the Crusades kind of night. Like it's like this ideological is going to cut and pave over everything, and you can't the world, right? Like this kind of mentality, it doesn't get us anywhere except around the track that we have gone over for generations after generations after generations. Listen, look, feel. They are talking to us. Who are they? They are your ancestors. They are those in the light. They are the magical beings we can't see. They are the voices of nature. They are nature itself. They are reality, which is asking us to be more present. And the further we go into little fantasies, the more pressing the reality will become. Because this is the greater balancing act here, which is asking us to come back to this moment, to come back together to this moment, and to focus on these moments, to be in this beauty, because it is not okay. It is not okay. Even if we feel love, it's still not okay. Even if we're connected to God, the light, it's still not okay. You may feel okay because you're connected, but the reality of the experience around you is not. And so it takes the opening up and the vulnerability to those experiences to see the dire beauty, to see the parts that need balancing, and to be present for them, to be vulnerable to where we feel that penetrates us, to listen to what we think we need to do about them and find the wisdom way in between them, to open up those three rays, if you will, and what needs to happen. It is a lover's path of karma towards beauty, and we are all heralds on a mission to make that happen. Is this the reading for the week or is this the reading for the year? I don't know. But this is my universally public Saturday service for you, and I hope it finds you well. I'm Scott Smith. You can find me at starandstonellc.com. You can subscribe for free for blogs and vlogs and some Saturday services through the patreon.com/Scott K. Smith. You can find me on YouTube. I did a link tree. It's in all of my social media. You can find it there, in which you can tune in any way, shape, or form. Remember, ground, anchor, sanitize yourself, cleanse and clear, protect, put up your shields, be ready to be present, not with a focus on the onslaught, but at least in this week, a focus on the beauty, the balance between the lovers, between karma, with that knight's imperative. Held in the right way, it can open for us. Blessed be, blessed be, blessed be.